Check. Go through there. Is it just us two over the call?
Yeah.
Just camera. Okay. I see the meeting, no problem. So yeah, we should be good. Okay. I'm gonna be there.
It's a little past 10 o'clock, so we'll get the meeting started. Call it to order. First item up is public comment on any agenda items. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak on any items that are listed on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the minutes. The minutes for the February 14th, 2024 meeting. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to review them. Does anyone have any comments or corrections they would like to make to the minutes?
Matt, I do know Fairview needs to amend the minutes to include their representation from the February meeting.
Oh, okay. So add them as an attendee. You'll be adding them as an
Yep.
attendee?
Yep.
Okay, any other corrections or comments on the substance of the minutes? If not, then I will accept a motion to approve the minutes with the addition of Fairview's attendance.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Any additional comments? I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved with that correction. Next up, number 4 is the 2023-2026 Transportation Improvement Program. Financial modifications and informational items. Do we have Matt Cray available? Matt, are you there? Anyone from PennDOT Central Office available?
This is Brandon Leach here. I apologize. My whole team is trying to get on the Zoom link from before, so we're just getting back to it. So if you can just give us a minute, I think we'll all be able to get on here.
Sure.
No more Zoom.
Yeah. One of the consequences of switching meeting platforms. Yep.
Yep.
Just waiting for Matt then to log in.
I'm communicating with him right now, so it should be shortly.
Did we want to go out of order? Audrey, would you be ready to
Sure.
do number 5 and then we can go back up to that?
Sure.
Unless it's dependent on
Nope,
Matt's
nope.
report. Okay.
That's totally fine. So I'll just jump right into the 2025-2028 TIP draft documents. The public comment portion of the TIP is set for this month, May 15th through June 13th. In preparation, these draft documents have been created. I have a huge packet around the room. They're also online and in the email attachment. Specific chapters go out for public comment, which includes project selection processes, the timeline, the transportation performance management and documentation, highway and bridge projects, transit projects, environmental justice analysis, and the TIP revision procedures. Like I mentioned, the documents are available on the Erie MPO TIP website, and updates will be posted on Facebook, put in the newspaper, mailed out to tribes, emailed to tribes and EJ organizations, and it will be presented online through YouTube as well. There will be 2 public meetings. One will be held virtually on May 30th at noon to 1, and the second will be in person at the Blasco Library in the Admiral Room. Same day, May 30th at 4:30 to 5:30. Today, we need to vote to put these documents out for public comment.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Audrey? Okay, if not, I would accept a motion to open the public comment period for the TIP.
Motion.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, this is Matt Creer from PennDOT Central Office. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Matt. We just skipped
Cool.
over your portion. Once we finish this, we'll come right back to you, if that's okay.
Copy that. That's not a problem. Yeah, and I want to apologize. I should have brought this up sooner. I reviewed the tip documentation, and the only thing I noticed, and this is not a big deal, I didn't see the self-certification resolution review. That's the only thing that was missing that will need to go out for public comment. Obviously, it's not a big deal, but just for transparency purposes, I just wanted to bring that to your attention. After the meeting today or tomorrow, Audrey, we can have a sidebar call. The document should be dangerously similar to the last self-certification, but I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely put that in. Thanks, Matt.
Copy, not a problem.
Mark, would you like to amend your motion to include the self-certification?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? Now I'll call for the vote. All in favor of putting the tip out for public comment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving back up to item number 4, the 23 to 26 tip. Matt, go ahead, you can take it away.
Yes, I appreciate that, and I apologize for my technical difficulties logging on to the meeting. Yeah, there's only 2 administrative modifications that I was going to cover today. We could actually start right here. If you look at administrative action number 1, this is just an informational item. This action cash flowed 2 TACA projects from 2024 or 2025 to 2024. And this action will take $845,000 in TAP funds. They removed the federal fiscal year 2024 from 2025 to the Union City Borough TACA project. And the second part was taking $200,000 TAP funds, which were moved from 2025 to 2024 to the Edinburgh TACA project in 2022. This was to better match up with their let dates. So that was just the first action I want to highlight. And Audrey, if you could go, or I apologize, who's ever controlling the screen share, if they could go to the administrative modification number 11, please. Perfect. Thank you. This action adds the right-of-way and utility phases to the 20 Mile Creek Bridge project. $99,000 in federal STP funds were added to the right-of-way phase. $25,000 STP funds were added to the utility phase, both in federal fiscal year 2024. The US 20 Chestnut Street to Imperial Parkway was used as the funding source, and the remaining funds drawn were returned to the Erie Highway Bridge line item. There were no amendments this cycle, so there's nothing to vote on. I just wanted to highlight those 2 actions for your attention. If there were any questions from the administrative modifications or the informational items, I'd be happy to try and answer.
Thanks, Matt. Any
Thank you.
questions for these items?
The Lamson Road bridges were supposed to be done this year, and the gas company's telling me it's next year. Just wondering if they've got the start date on it.
Anybody?
The old Route 99 one?
Yeah.
They are letting the summer. So
They
I
are
don't
letting
know,
the
yeah, I
summer?
don't know when for sure the construction schedule has them starting, but they will be letting.
Any other questions? Okay, I think that's it. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, we already did number 5, so we'll move on to number 6 on the agenda, the local federal aid route response.
As you know, from February's meeting, I reached out to 11 municipalities that are eligible for the local federal aid route funding by owning federal aid routes in Erie County. The 11 municipalities may apply for $1 million total of federal STP funds over a 2-year period. The funds are broken down so that 500,000 go to high ADT routes and the other 500,000 goes to the low ADT routes. I have received applications from 3 municipalities, which are Mill Creek Township, Wesleyville Borough, and the city of Erie, with a total of 37 roads. I divided their applications into the high and the low ADT with the low number being 3,346 cars a day and the high being anywhere over that number. I submitted those applications to PennDOT. They will rank those on their own, and then Emily and I will be able to assign funds to the highest ranked roads that they give us. We will let those municipalities know. I would assume probably early June. But today we need to make a vote to accept the local federal aid route applications. I do have the Excel spreadsheets in the packets. In total for the low ADT routes, the total ask was $4,351,464.01.
Way more than that.
Right, way more than 500,000. So they're not all gonna get it, but top priority will get that. And then for the high ADT total, it came out to be $749,560.82.
And so you're looking for a vote to accept these
The applications.
applications and then move them on to PennDOT for the grading in the next steps. Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion to that effect? Thank you. Do we have a second? Ann was a second. All right, any questions or comments?
Wait, Matt, who was the second?
Leanne.
Oh, Leanne, okay, thank you.
Not hearing any questions or comments, then I will take a vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, I think keep it rolling with the UPWP study funds.
Yep. So transportation study funding was available through the Unified Planning Workers Program for applications from our last meeting until May 1st. There is currently $55,000 available with a required 10% match. We received 2 applicants who will be presenting their study today. First was a transportation study in Union City Borough to determine a safe walking route for students to walk to school when crossing that South Main Street. And then the second is for a complete streets study that will create a general complete streets policy that Erie County municipalities could edit and eventually adopt. The TAC will need to recommend to the coordinating committee which study or studies to fund through the UPWP. So we'll start out with Cindy Wells should be on the Teams call with her presentation. I have a separate packet that has like a map on it. That is her presentation.
Hi, Audrey. Thank you for asking me to make the presentation on this, and I appreciate the board being willing to look at these maps and this application. The first map shows on South Main Street that there is at the top, it shows that star. That is the area of, hold on a minute, I gotta look at this again. I'm sorry, the bottom star at Odell Street, and then on the right-hand side is Johnson Street. That's the the school crossing zone that we're looking at right now. If you look south of that, you see there's a Y. On the left, that's Route 6 coming in and joining with Route 8 on the right. When you come from 6, there is a stop sign there. So all traffic stops there. It's the Route 8 traffic that proceeds south, and that's a slight curve there. So when you're on Route 8, you can't see that school crossing. The school has requested that something be done about the school crossing on South Main Street. And several years ago, they put up some signs. They were solar flashing signs, flashing LED signs. They're not very visible. They were not placed. There had not been a study done when those signs were placed. So they've continued to be there, but the school is having issues, and there's been some close calls of the crossing guard that's there being hit or the students being hit. The school started by sending an email, and it included an email to the borough, PennDOT, an engineer that the borough uses is GPI. Jeff Cordes participated. Audrey also participated. And there was an email string going back and forth about that. And then we did have a meeting at the site. And the next map is actually a Google map. I believe that you can see, it shows the actual layout a little bit more clear. On at the on-site meeting, it was decided to move the crossing further north. However, there wasn't technically a study done, and because that study wasn't done, the engineer and the PennDOT representative, Brian Smith with District Traffic Engineering, they felt that a study needed to be done to determine which was going to be the best way to do this, or the best layout for that crossing. If you go, Audrey, can you go back to the previous map? If you go north on that, you'll see Sherman Street. It's not a through street. That is where the crossing, school crossing, is now located until we get the study done to determine the best route. What happens is the kids that live on the west side of South Main Street, they're supposed to all meet and cross at that crossing over to the other side. And you can see Miles Street. Miles Street, if you head south, it takes you to the school complex. That's the elementary school, and then they continue. There's another path that goes across over to the high school. So it's mainly high school kids that walk this, but there are some other ones that are elementary. There's not a lot of kids, but it's enough that there is a concern of them being hit. I do have other photos that were in with the application packet. There's photo 1. It says it's south and it says parade. I don't know, do they have those with the application, Audrey?
We don't have the application pictures up now.
Do they have access to those pictures or not?
I can pull them up if you need them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought that they had the application, so that's what I was basing it on. When this study is completed, there will be the plan, and then it'll be presented to the school district about implementing that plan.
Sorry, 1 second.
No, I'm sorry. Like I said, I thought they had the application.
Problem. You need a photo 1, Cindy?
Yeah, there's different photos. They're numbered. They go up to number 5.
Okay.
If you can't do it, it's something that they can look at later. There it is. That's it. Okay, if you look at number 1, it says South Parade. That's if you were sitting at or driving on Main Street from the Parade Street intersection and you're going north, and you see that last car clear up at the end. That's in the proximity of where the school crossing is. And then if you look at the second photo, that's moving forward just a little bit closer. If you can go to the next photo, 3 and 3.1.
Yeah.
Just go use that scroll tab.
Okay, that's looking the same direction. It's just a slightly closer. And on the picture on the right, you can see those road signs. And when you're at this area, you can see the actual flashing light, but the closer you get to that intersection, it is covered with those road signs. The picture on the left, because of the trees and everything, you can't see any of that. And this is just in the direction going south. If you go down to the next photo, 3.2, that again is going south. And that's enlarged. That's what you see the closer you get to that. Now there is, on the center line, there is a pedestrian crosswalk sign also. The photo on the right, that's after you've started around the curve, and you can see where that car is at. That car is already at the crossing. That's how close you are when you come around the curve. And there's no signs really before the curve to tell you that there is a crosswalk. You can see the sign on the right next to that car that is a flashing sign. If you scroll up to the other picture, below that, it's number 5. That's looking north, and that is that much closer. You can see the sign there. That crossing is the one that is the dangerous one, and where they've moved it to is further down the street so that it would be much more visible. But right now, PennDOT's recommendation was to have the traffic study done to determine what's needed as far as marking the crosswalk, what style of crosswalk to put there, the signage that's needed, and the location of the signage. And the estimate for that, the total cost is $12,430 with the match. The amount being requested is $11,187. Because this crossing is mainly a school crossing, we feel that it's extremely important just because of the school safety or student safety going to school for school routes.
Okay, thanks, Cindy.
Yeah.
All right, is there any questions? If anybody has any, I can address them, but.
Any questions for Cindy?
Are there any sidewalks in?
There are sidewalks down through there. The only place, if you go where the crosswalk is right now, that street, Johnson Street, the one side had brand new sidewalks put in that takes it over to Miles Street. The sidewalks aren't coming on Main Street. Those sidewalks aren't as bad as a lot of the sidewalks. But if you look at that first map that I had, I don't know if you can still bring that up. It shows Miles Street. If we move the crossing down to Sherman Street, they can walk Sherman Street, which there are sidewalks, right over to Miles Street. Those sidewalks from Sherman up to Johnson are going to be done probably next year. There's CDBG funding to complete those sidewalks, but from Johnson Street to the elementary school, those sidewalks on the east side are all brand new sidewalks, and it was done along Johnson and Miles Street just because it is a school route to the elementary school. So sidewalks are not an issue with moving the crossing on any of those, on anywhere on South Main Street.
Okay, any other questions?
I have one. Cindy, I think it was $11,000 or $12,000 estimate you mentioned. What was that for again? That was for relocating the crossing?
No, that's for the study that has to be done before it can be moved. PennDOT is recommending that study so that we make sure that we get the correct signage in the correct locations and the safest locations.
Thanks.
The Pathways to School program, we did in Edinburgh. Is that still open or is that?
Safe routes to school,
Yeah, safe routes.
safe routes to school, part of PASA now. considered part of TASA, more or
Yeah,
less.
Erie just received, I think, 2 safe route to school pass over.
All right, anything else?
Hi, Matt. This is Lindsay DeVito. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you, Lindsay.
I just wanted to also add that TASA, the next round is expected to open in May, so next year, May to September.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Audrey, if you
All
want to
right,
move on to the
perfect.
next.
So our next study presentation is with Emerson, and he will be doing the complete streets study presentation.
All right. Nice to meet everyone. I'm Emerson Bannon. I newly hired and handle Parks and Rec for the county. So a lot of you I've met before, some I have not yet, as well as those online, of course. So I've been working with the MPO since, with Audrey and with Emily on pedestrian safety and active transportation and a complete streets policy. Specifically, the MPO adopted the Safe and Accessible program and allocated some funding towards that. And so this is sort of an extension of that. We are seeking UPWP additional funding for complete street study to make our streets across the county safe for all users. And what that would entail was hosting municipal workshops with, the different departments and people who actually run the streets, talking about complete streets policy, hearing their needs, and kind of collaboratively developing a sample municipal policy that we can then work on adopting, engaging the public on, getting their input, and then implementation on a number of different, complete streets builds and pedestrian and safety improvements. Specifically, the previous presentation worked very well because I wanted to coordinate with the Safe Routes to School program in my role as Parks and Rec coordinator. That is often a need I've heard expressed in a lot of different municipalities, the need for kids to get to, their schools, but also the Y, parks, anywhere safely. And so considering that that's also already something that a lot of municipalities expressed interest in, I think coordinating with kind of the actual Safe Routes to School program, but other kind of safe routes policies would, I think, be a very useful way to implement this in Erie County. And as mentioned with our talks with WRA, potential incorporation of complete street concepts into the next LRTP. Next slide, please. So what we're asking for is $40,000 for UPWP planning funding, in addition to the $15,000 that was already allocated to this program through the Safe and Accessible program. And with that funding, we can help get together, a firm that's an expert in developing these sort of things to help host the workshops and work with us to develop a sample policy. And then in year two, if we have the same amount of funding, we'll have another $7,000 Safe and Accessible to wrap things up, and any potential municipal contributions as well from interested municipalities if we can kind of pool efforts, because a number, I think, like the city is already doing its own safe streets for all sort of study that they have an RFP out for. So currently, that's what we're asking for, and I think it could be a very big benefit to the county to have a policy that we could all work on. Next slide, please. And does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Emerson. Audrey, so we heard two requests, Union City's for 11,180 and the county's for 400,000, or I'm sorry, 40,000. How much is the pot of UPWP?
We have 55.
55. So it is possible to approve both requests and have them fully funded?
Yep.
Okay, and right now you're just looking for a recommendation to the coordinating committee?
Correct.
That we accept both studies and funding? Okay. Would anybody care to make a motion regarding the UPWP funds? Oh, go ahead.
We accept both at full funding.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion on the floor to accept both projects at full funding. Any comments or questions? I will call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Number 9 on the agenda are agency updates. And first up is PennDOT District 1. We have the people would like to speak.
A couple of updates on some projects that are, I'm gonna be letting here, the next couple of months. The first one on the list is, Maple Road, that's the, Belfar project. This plans were just signed this morning, so we should be seeing those advertised here in the near future. The 20 Mile Creek Bridge, I'm sure most of you all know the history behind that bridge. We actually posted unofficial plans in ECMS last week so that contractors can start looking at those plans. We're currently working through right-of-way acquisition right now. I think we have settlements made with all but 2 of the property owners next to the bridge. So those negotiations are ongoing this week. We're still trying to advertise, officially advertise the project late next week, with the bid opening in mid-June. So fingers crossed we can get those last settlements taken care of this week and keep things moving forward. Jordan Road, that project, we have right-of-way clearance and the PSME packages in the district office. However, as many of you probably know, that project's been placed on hold pending the bids for the Route 20 bridge. I think when those bids come in, then we'll see how that looks, and we might be able to still advertise it later this year, but currently that project's going to be put on hold. Erie County local waterproofing. We have 2 bridges in that contract that are in final design. I got word that we had to submit a different type of DEP permit, which that's been submitted. So we're hopeful to get that back here in the next month or 2 and be able to move forward with advertising that. The old Route 99 Lansing Run that was mentioned a little bit ago. All the right-of-way claims have been settled, so we should be able to get our right-of-way clearance here very soon. The PSME package is currently under review by PennDOT, so we're hopeful here within a few weeks we'll be able to advertise that for bids as well. Last project on the list worth noting, the Edinburgh Tasco project. That's the addition of the sidewalk and a pedestrian bridge along Route 6 near the campus. That project's just moving through final design and right away. No issues or concerns that we're aware of at this point for getting that advertised later this summer. Any questions or about those projects or any others that I may mention?
Any questions for Mark? All right, thank you. Any other District 1 updates?
I'll just mention generally that the Bayfront Parkway project moves along. We continue to have some challenges with relocating utilities as far as boring under State Street and under the Bayfront Parkway. So that's what's happening out there. I think I haven't driven through there in the last couple of weeks. I'll be up there this afternoon, but I know they're making progress on the roundabout at Sassafras. So things are, to say they're going according to plan probably wouldn't be completely accurate. Those utility challenges are real, and they've been, they're causing some snags for us, but we're working with the contractor on whether there's other things that they can do while we sort the rest of that piece of it out. So that's kind of what's happening there. And the only other thing I wanted to mention, I'm not sure if it was going to be mentioned or not, but the STC, the State Transportation Commission meeting is next week. It's a week from today in Erie. So, that's something that I don't think they've been within District 1 or in Erie. I think it's been 12 or 13 years, but that statewide commission, has quarterly meetings and typically do them around the state until COVID when they were postponed for a while. But it's open to the public. It's from 10 to noon at the Bayfront Convention Center. And District 1 will be doing a little presentation, 20 minutes or so, just an overview, but they'll go through their other normal business, public comment period and all that kind of thing. And it's available on Teams and by telephone as well.
Could you give the date and also could you send out a notice on that?
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful.
Yep. Yeah, it's May 15th, next Wednesday, 10 to noon. But yeah,
Thank you.
we'll share something.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I apologize before we move on. I realized I scribbled a little too much here and I passed over number 8, the transportation planning consultant selected. So if we want to just jump back to that,
No problem.
finish that. Yeah.
No problem. As you all probably know, our most recent Erie County open-ended transportation consultant was WRA. That contract with them had ended May 1st. So we went out to bid and we opened proposals on March 15th for another open-ended transportation consultant. We had a review committee. We all reviewed the RFPs, the proposals that we received. We did get 5, so it was a good turnout. It was decided among all of us in the review committee to continue working with WRA for transportation planning services in Erie County. This contract has been created and finalized, and it is effective until June 30th of next year. Yes, we can extend that contract with them as well. Yes.
All right, thank
right.
you, and apologies again for skipping that. Okay, we're back on item 9, letter B, federal updates. Do we have Ronnie Bishop with us? No,
She's not on there.
doesn't look like we have her. Then we'll move on to PennDOT Central Office updates. Back to Matt Craig.
Yep. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep, just got several quick updates here. The first is a NEVI round 1A award. This is for $851,772 to the Blink Network LLC for a charging station at Get Go in Erie that is on I-79 exit 184. We do have a NEVI round 1B opportunity to announce. This round 1B will be accepting online proposals starting on May 13th and will close on July 10th. I will drop those links in the chat box. As mentioned earlier, we have several TAS awards to announce. The first is for the city of Erie. That is for $1.4 million to install ADA compliant sidewalks and ramps in locations where there are currently missing segments of a sidewalk within the 1.5 walking radius of City of Erie schools. Second is for Fairview Township. That's for $120,510 to realign crosswalk markings to be perpendicular to the road to reduce the crossing distance, as well as additional crosswalk improvements. Last but not least is the United Way of Erie County. This received $230,000 for 2 main initiatives, a mapping phase and the educational awareness campaign. The first phase would include the expansion and addition of safer walking routes to 10 schools. The mapping process will help establish the safest routes and will then inform the placement of high visibility signage along those routes for student use. The second, the educational awareness campaign, will include targeted digital ads on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as broadcast and streaming ads, outdoor billboards, yard signs, and neighborhood educational opportunities. I will also drop the TASA link for reference in the chat box. And last but not least, 2023 statewide crash data is now available. There's a lot of information here. These are very helpful websites if you're looking for crash data. And I'll also drop those links in the chat box. If anybody has any comments or questions with any of the PennDOT Central Office updates, I'd be happy to take this.
Does anybody have any questions? I think we're good. Thank you, Matt, for that update.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Brandon. Not a question, but more of a comment on the NEVI round 1B that's open. I did want to highlight that one of the high priority corridors is actually located in Erie County off of I-79's exits 166 and 174. So I would encourage, any entities there that would be willing to apply, that would probably be like on the higher end of consideration for those locations. I think that's the Edinburgh exit, and then I'm not sure which one 174 is, but just wanted to put that out there. And then there's mid priority locations as well off of I-90 on exits 6, 9, 16, and 18. So.
Great.
Yep.
Thanks, Brandon. Yep, and Edinburgh and McCain were those exits, right? That's what, okay. Good to know. All right, thanks. Moving on to number 10, other business. First is the local use fee subcommittee meeting at the end, or does somebody
Yeah,
have a-
so I just want to give a little update. We did have to move that meeting to the 22nd rather than the 15th because of the STC meeting. That is next Wednesday, just so you know. As a heads up for everybody in that subcommittee, we're gonna have to review pretty much all of the local use bridges, any bridge that's receiving Act 13, Act 89 funding. We are getting constant high construction and engineering estimates, which will affect projects that we have already committed to and future projects as well. We will bring the results of this local use subcommittee meeting to the MPO meeting, which is on June 26th. I also have other updates about the current UPWP transportation studies. We're currently finishing up 3 studies that are being funded by the last cycle of the UPWP transportation study funds. First off being 12th Street Reimagined study, which is being studied by WRA, Fifth Economy, and PASHIC to determine any advancements that might be needed with future possible development of 12th Street. There will be a second public meeting for this study on May 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. They do not have a venue determined yet, but I can keep everybody updated with that. Our most recent transportation study actually involves EV charging, so I'm glad this came up. Polera Energy and EMTA are working together to determine the electrical capacity of Erie and whether or not the grid could support a public electric vehicle charging station at EMTA-owned sites. Polera engineers are going to be traveling to Erie next week to install the equipment that they need to gather the data for this study, and it will be wrapped up by June 30th. Lastly, we have the Loomis Street at-grade crossing study, which is wrapping up with a stakeholder meeting to be held soon. This study was necessary to determine a safer and more effective way for cars and big trucks to cross the railroad tracks on Loomis Street up in Northeast. Like I mentioned, all 3 of those are going to be wrapped up June 30th of this year. That's all I have, unless there's questions.
Could you repeat time, location, and date for the subcommittee meeting?
Sure, yep. That will be Wednesday, the 22nd of this month at 10 a.m. and that will be located at the planning department. Any other questions for me?
We're good.
We're good.
Okay, great, thank you, appreciate the update. All right, moving on to number 11, hearing of the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak at this time?
Not to speak, Matt, but I have a question. Not to clear up dust, but the Aqua Bridge project, which took a lot of our time, the MPO's time. I see that there's been a snag on that. What's the progress there?
Yeah, sure. I can speak to that. So the city opened bids. It was April 22nd. And we received a bid from Shivers Construction Company for approximately $2.4 million, which actually is in line with the late estimate, I should say, from our bridge consultant who did the design. The gap was the issue there, and so just to give a quick overview of the numbers on the project is all total, we're looking at about a $675,000 gap, and that consists of three parts. There is the construction work, which is $530, construction consultation money for $25K, and $120,000 in construction inspection. You sum those up, you're looking at about $675,000. So I think everybody probably saw it in the news, but it was presented to City Council on May 1st, and it was not, City Council did not accept it move forward at this time. So kind of where it stands.
Okay, I appreciate the update.
So
Thank you.
I do have a public comment to pass along, from Passel Helminski. She has the same, public comment about the roundabout pedestrian signs, that need to be fixed where Route 5 and Millfair Road intersect. I know we've had conversation about it in the past. I don't know if there's been final answer on that or not.
I remember the last time we looked at it, the signs in question that she sent a photograph in were owned and installed by Mill Creek Township. They were like what do you call them, the sandwich signs that are kind of placed in the island, and those are supposed to be put up. So we let her know that.
Okay.
But that was the last update I received. That was probably a couple months ago.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass it along.
And I know that our traffic department did go out there and take a look at it, and they were the bounce back style signs that I guess the mechanism has broken, so they don't bounce back up. I don't know if they've ordered replacements, if that's the holdup, not, but I can look into it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And Matt, one more question.
Yes,
sir. You go to the cause. Your plan in Mill Creek on 8th Street, is that going to affect any of the traffic patterns that the MPO will have to deal with in the near future? If we can see.
I mean, it's hard to know without knowing what uses are gonna end up there. It is, zoned for mixed use development, so there could be anything from residential to commercial, businesses on those sites. The township has worked with PennDOT, and Josh Montgomery to turn 8th Street back over to the township. So, 8th Street will become a township road, so it won't be, the responsibility of PennDOT or the MPO to deal with. Most of the traffic we would envision from those sites would enter and exit from 8th Street. There may be some slight increase onto Peninsula Drive depending on highway occupancy permits and things. But overall, I think we'd all love to see traffic increase there because that's part of the reason for the project is to bring more people in that area. But I don't see any significant impacts. I know that PennDOT is planning to do a betterment project along 832 in the coming years. And so hopefully we can, accommodate that with the new signalization and things that will happen there.
Thank you. Moving right along.
Thanks. Any other comments from the public? All right, then, hearing none, I guess the next item we have is to adjourn. Just wanted to note that the next meeting of the coordinating committee will be June 26th at 10 a.m., correct?
Yes.
In the Summit Township Municipal Building. So with that, I would accept a motion to adjourn. So Kuhn, second? Second. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.